please stop doing that forbidden thing." She cried, but the rancher didn't, and the town went mad. The day everything changed in Red Valley began quietly, without any hint of the chaos that would soon swallow the small desert town. The rancher, Cole Maddox, had lived long enough to recognize trouble before it arrived, but nothing could have prepared him for the woman who stumbled onto his land that afternoon. She looked completely out of place, dressed in the stark, black and white habit of a nun, clutching two giant leaves against herself as if they were the last shield she had left. Her steps were unsteady, her breath sharp, and her eyes held a strange mix of fear and fire. Cole was tending his horse when she came into view, and his instinctive reach toward her wasn't out of boldness but concern. She flinched, stepping back, her voice trembling as she cried out, "Please stop doing that forbidden thing!" He froze mid-motion. Forbidden thing? What had she seen? What did she mean? Before he could speak, she tightened her hold on the leaves and looked around as if expecting someone or something to appear behind her. Her legs carried faint marks of thorns, dust, and struggle. She looked like she had run miles without stopping. Cole tried again, his tone calm. "Ma'am, I ain't doing nothing. You're on my land. Looks like you need help." She stared hard at him, weighing his sincerity, her breath short and uneven. Then she whispered, "If you didn't do it, then they're coming." Cole didn't understand, but he sensed danger in her trembling voice. When he gently reached to guide her toward shade, she grabbed his wrist, her grip surprisingly tight. "Don't move like that. They'll think you're helping me, and that's forbidden." Her fear didn't seem theatrical or exaggerated. She looked as though she had escaped an ordeal darker than anything Cole had seen in his years on the frontier. He slowly withdrew his hand, giving her space, letting her breathe. She hesitated and finally said, "My name is Sister Alara. I had to leave the mission. They won't let anyone leave, not willingly. And if the town finds out I fled, they'll turn on anyone who offers me shelter, including you." Cole knew about the mission at the far edge of town, the place people rarely visited, and even more rarely discussed. Rumors swirled around it, strict rules, harsh discipline, mysterious rituals that no one dared question. But Cole had never paid much attention, assuming most tales were exaggerated by bored townsfolk. Now, with the frightened nun in front of him, he wasn't so sure. "What happened there?" he asked. "What did they do to you?" Alara shook her head. "It's not what they did to me. It's what they expect me to do, what they call obedience, what they say is God's will, but couldn't be further from it." Cole sensed there was more, much more, but he didn't push. Instead, he offered her water, turning away so she didn't feel exposed. She drank shakily before speaking again. "I broke their rule. I refused something they demanded. And once you refuse one command, everything becomes forbidden, even asking for help." The pieces didn't fully make sense yet, but one truth became obvious. She was terrified not of being punished, but of being dragged back. Cole knew they couldn't stay in the open. He guided her toward his barn, but she stiffened when he moved ahead of her. "Don't walk in front of me. They trained us to follow without question. Someone walking ahead means I must obey." Her words were soft but carried years of conditioned fear. Cole slowed his steps, letting her walk beside him instead. The simple gesture eased her shoulders slightly. Inside the barn's dim interior, Cole handed her a blanket so she could cover herself more comfortably. She wrapped it tightly, still holding the leaves as if they represented the last piece of herself she controlled. "If the town sees me," she whispered, "they'll assume you tempted me away. That's how they work. They'll say you're the one who committed the forbidden thing. They'll blame you, not the mission." Cole leaned against a wooden post, rubbing his jaw. "I ain't scared of townsfolk, but I don't take kindly to being accused of something I didn't do." "You don't understand," she insisted. "They don't need proof. They only need someone to point a finger." As they spoke, Cole's horse snorted uneasily, shifting its weight. The animals always sensed fear long before humans did, and Ilara's trembling presence was enough to make the barn feel charged with invisible tension. Then came the sound, distant at first, then slowly growing. Church bells. Not the usual rhythm of Sunday, These were sharp, urgent, ringing over and over. Ilara went pale. That's the call. They've discovered I'm gone. Cole straightened. And now? She swallowed hard. Now the town will go mad, the bells echoed, through the valley like a warning, carried by the wind. Cole didn't yet know how dangerous this situation truly was, or how quickly Red Valley could turn into a whirlwind of suspicion and fury. But one thing was certain. The moment he decided to shelter the terrified nun, he crossed an invisible line, and there was no turning back. The sound of the bells didn't fade. It grew louder, angrier, echoing across the plains, as if the entire town had awakened to a collective frenzy. Cole could sense Ilara trembling beside him, her fingers tightening around the blanket. She wasn't just afraid of being found. She feared what the town would do to anyone associated with her escape. Cole closed the barn doors quietly. But Ilara whispered urgently, "They'll come here first. The mission elders know this ranch is the farthest from town. They assume no one passes by here without your permission. They'll think you helped me before they even see me." Cole had never lived his life, worried about others' opinions. But the desperation in her voice hit him. Something terrible lingered behind her words, something she couldn't yet say, or something she feared saying aloud would make real. He set out lanterns, checked his tools, and positioned himself near a window slit. "Tell me the truth," Cole said. "Why did you run? What was this forbidden thing you keep talking about?" Ilara sat on an overturned crate, shoulders tight. For a long moment she stared at the floor, gathering courage from some hidden reservoir. Then she spoke. "I was chosen as a vessel. That's what they called it. The elders said obedience must be absolute. That our bodies, our thoughts, our choices belong to the mission. And any refusal is the greatest sin." Cole's jaw tightened. "Sounds like they brainwash people. They demand devotion, under fear," she whispered. "They say refusing any command, even something small, marks you. That once you resist, everything you do becomes forbidden. Even breathing without permission," she exhaled shakily. "Yesterday, they ordered me to participate in a ritual I believed was wrong. I said no, just once. And that was enough. They dragged me out into the courtyard, tore away my garments, and declared me unworthy of sacred cloth." Cole's expression darkened. "So they left you out there?" "Yes, as a warning to the others," she swallowed. "I escaped at dawn using the leaves for cover. I thought I could reach the river without being seen. But the moment the bells rang, I knew they'd blame someone, anyone, for my disappearance." Cole felt a surge of anger, not at her, but at the twisted institution that dared call itself holy while treating its own like prisoners. Before he could reply, he heard horses, multiple, rushing toward the ranch. Ilara's breath caught. Cole moved silently, pushing her behind stacks of hay. "Stay down. Don't move unless I say so." She nodded, trembling but trying to steady herself. Soon voices filled the yard. Harsh voices, male voices. Cole stepped out calmly. A group of townspeople had gathered near his fence, some from the mission, some from the town, all anxious. Their leader, a stern man in dark robes, spoke first. "Rancher, we are searching for a runaway sister. She has committed grave offenses. She fled the mission grounds and must be returned immediately." Cole crossed his arms. "A grown woman don't sound like property to me. This is not your concern." "She ain't here," Cole said, keeping his tone firm. The man's eyes narrowed. "You would not lie to the mission, would you?" "I don't lie," Cole replied. "But I don't hand people over either." That single sentence ignited something. The murmurs among the crowd turned sharp, suspicious, twisting into anger. Fear made people irrational, and irrational people made dangerous choices. Cole knew this. He'd seen it during disputes, during droughts, during harsh winters. But this was different. Here the fear was being stoked intentionally. "If she sought refuge here," the robed man said coldly, "then you have broken sacred law. Helping a sinner is a sin far greater than fleeing. Your laws ain't my laws." Cole shot back. The crowd stirred uneasily, some nodding with the robed man, others unsure. The mission had long held power over the town, not through force, but through belief, tradition, and fear of punishment. Now, seeing Cole oppose them openly, people grew agitated. A woman shouted, "If he's hiding her, he's protecting evil." Another yelled, "Search the ranch!" The robed man raised a hand, silencing them. "We will give you one chance, rancher. Present her now, or face consequences." Cole's blood simmered. "There ain't a single law in this valley that gives you the right to threaten me. We answer to higher authority." "Funny," Cole said. "I always thought higher authority meant helping people, not hurting." And behind the haystack, Ilara crouched, tears welling in her eyes. She had tried to protect him by begging him not to do anything forbidden, but now it was too late. His refusal to betray her was enough to paint him guilty in the eyes of zealots. And the town, already twisted by years of fear, responded like dry brush catching fire. Words turned to shouts. Shouts turned to accusations. Accusations turned to demands. Within minutes, Red Valley had reached a boiling point. Some wanted to storm the ranch. Others urged restraint. The divided voices clashed until the yard rang with chaos. Cole realized the madness. Ilara had warned about wasn't coming. It had already arrived. The robed leader finally snapped, losing whatever composure he had. "Very well. If you protect a sinner, you stand against us. The town will not forget your defiance." With that, the mission's men mounted their horses and rode off, but not in retreat. They rode to gather more, to build a mob, to return stronger. Cole closed the barn door, locking it. Ilara looked at him with guilt etched across her face. "I never wanted this," she whispered. "I only wanted to escape. I thought I could run without dragging anyone down with me." Cole placed a hand on her shoulder, steady but gentle. "You didn't do nothing wrong." They did. Her eyes filled again, but this time with a mix of sorrow and fragile hope. Hope that someone finally believed in her, not as a vessel or a sinner, but as a human being with the right to choose her own path. Outside, rising dust clouds signaled the return of many riders. Red Valley was about to erupt into full fury, and Cole knew the fight ahead wasn't just about protecting Ilara, it was about breaking the chains the mission had wrapped around the entire town. The forbidden thing wasn't what Ilara did. It was what she refused to do. And the real madness was how the town had accepted obedience over freedom for so long. Now, with the mob approaching and Ilara trembling beside him, Cole braced himself. This wasn't just the beginning of conflict. It was the first crack in the walls that had trapped Red Valley for decades. And once cracks begin, they never stop spreading.